Dr. Jhones, Sarturi, Texas Tech University. Welcome to the program. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Laura. I'm very honored to be here. I really appreciate your invitation.
Hey, now, okay, I asked you earlier, but, you're from Brazil.
Yes, I am.
Now, Brazil is a big deal. I mean, beef is a big deal in Brazil. So, I mean, Is this, because you always see these Brazilian steakhouses and stuff like that. I mean, how does the industry here and there compare? And then, what are you guys doing to beef nutrition to make it better for the consumer?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad to ask this question because that's the first thing I'm asked when I engage in a conversation because I work with beef cattle and nutrition, and so the first thing they usually ask me is, which one do you prefer, Brazilian steak or right. Brazilian beef or U.S. Beef? And actually, that's a little bit kind of tricky because actually, we have two different type of products if we evaluate in that perspective. Not only as beef in general, we have two completely different type of products, and that's directly related, as you mentioned, to the type of production system they have. There has been some changes down there in Brazil regarding how they produce beef. So it's basically animals on grazing situations, animals on pasture. But there has been some intensification in the production system where they are going towards to confined animals, and of course a kind of a smaller proportion as we would compare here with U.S. But there has been some changes. So to kind of address the initial question is which one is the best? So that is actually they're different. They're completely different type of products. So you would actually cook this different products differently, and that's what actually how we do. Actually, we cook them differently, and we make both tasty. So I would say that you would enjoy both.
Well, every time I've seen eaten Brazilian, it's always been off of a dagger or a sword. So that's kind of interesting. But hey, in the realm of beef nutrition. What does a beef nutritionist do? I mean, what is your function in life when you're working with beef and nutrition?
Yeah, great. So I've been blessed actually by my job because I actually really do what I love and working with this. And in my perspective of beef nutrition is basically working on how to develop products, how to develop strategies to make sure animals are receiving all the nutrients they need to have an expected performance. So the world that we live nowadays is everything on the tip of the pencil, isn't it? So when you have an animal inside the system, and then you need to know how much time and how is the expected rate of gain of these animals. So how can you calculate these things among a variety of ingredients and options that you can feed these animals? So our job is actually combine these different types of ingredients, making sure that animals are receiving all the nutrients to perform as we expect. So then we can think ahead of time and figure out how much time this animal will stay in the system, and when is the harvesting point. So we can make predictions. So that's what the nutritionists do.
Right. There's a big push right now for grass-fed beef. Is grass-fed beef, I mean, it's considerably more expensive. Is it considerably more nutritious?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. So the point is...
Or does it taste better?
No, there
not really a difference?
No, well, there are some difference in flavor. And as I mentioned before, these are, even though we are still talking about the beef, these are products that have different characteristics. So there is a place in the market. There is a place for consumers. There is a place for both. Grain-fed cattle and grass-fed cattle. So is a sake of preference. Both products are nutritious. Both products will be within acceptance in the consumers, and taste, every person has their own. So if you like a beef with more marbling, with more I would say more of that those fatty acids inside the fibers of the muscle, so you have more tenderness in that perspective, and
is that with grass fed?
Flavors.
Is that with the grass fed or grain fed?
With a grain fed.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that the grass fed is a bad product. It's just different. So you would have more type of a lean beef, and it would restrict you a little bit more on the options on how can you cook that. But there are several options and websites that can teach you on how to do. The only downside is as the grass-fed animal requires these animals to stay longer time in the production system, so that makes it more expensive to produce it. And so the outcome for the same animal, for example, if you compare both systems, it would make the grass-fed animals less efficient. So, well, what about the producer? What about the profitability of the producer? Well, the consumer needs to pay for that. So if you want to go towards that direction, as the system is longer to produce that animal, so you end up having to pay more for that type of product.
That's kind of an interesting thing because, like for when I was a kid, I mean, grass-fed beef, I mean, what else do they eat, right?
Right.
And then, they start doing this, grain-fed, corn-fed, and it's seems like it has a richer, more robust taste to it and everything. And, now you're sitting there seeing stuff grass-fed beef and the prices are higher and you're sitting there going grass-fed. Well, what's the deal with that? I mean, the prices weren't that high when I was a kid. They were eating grass. Is the grass today better than yesterday?
Right.
Yeah. So one thing that I guess is important to make it clear is both products are safe. Both products, either grass or grain-fed, are safe products. And
what about with hormones and antibiotics?
Yeah. So those are technologies that are in the industry, and they're actually used in both situations. So those are all safe products. Those are test technologies used in our industry since a long time ago. And FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, controls those things. And actually, when you think about when we are feeding animals, the control that we have in animals, in as far as residuals for technology that we use or nutrients that we give, is way more controlled if we compare with our own diets, if you think about that. So the point is, all the technology that we use in the beef industry, regardless this is grain-fed or grass-fed, both we're going to be using. The important point is to make is they are safe and nutritious, both products. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's very interesting, and it's even beef has been approved as a healthy part of your diet. You might want to stick with the leaner cuts of beef if you're on a special diet or whatever. But
yeah, and I guess another very quick comment is leaner or not. It all depends on how much you eat, isn't it?
Yes.
So
portion size.
Yeah, you can get over your requirements if you overeat lean beef too.
Hey, Doctor,
have a safe trip. I hear you're headed to Brazil.
Yes, I am. I'm going talking with a group of producers down there, and I'll be back in 2 days.
Good. Thank you so much for being here.
Dr. Jhones Sarturi, Texas Tech University, on beef nutrition.